I'm Rhoda Rosen. I'm an art historian by training, and I am a professor at the School of the Art Institute, and I'm the executive director of Redline Service, named just like the train, and both are very rewarding. In the 2013 winter, we had the polar vortex, and I had watched some horrifying things, people responding to houseless individuals who were sleeping on the train and not being happy that they were there, when in actual fact that was the only space they could be that was warm. And so Billy McGuinness, had done some art projects. For example, he had done drawings where he placed a canvas on the floor in front of a soup line and left it there. And the drawing became the feet walking over this canvas, the spills from the soup, anything that happened during the time that they were there became a part of the drawing. Together we decided to do an art project in which we would go to 95th Street and Howard Street, which are the two ends of the Red Line train, and we would take a dining room table, a tablecloth, candles, flowers, and plates, and we would sit with people who ride the train through the night, continuous riders, who have to get off at 95th and have to get off at Howard to go in the other direction, right? So because those are the ends of the line for people who are at the end of their line. And so we did these comfort stations, and people would come off the train and we'd sit there, and we created this incredible community. Every week from midnight till about 4 a.m. the food would run out. And there we learned from people that they were very interested in art and knew a lot about what free events there were in the city and outdoor spaces, but there were indoor art institutions that just didn't feel welcoming to them. And so we came inside with the help of David Weinberg, who then had a gallery in River North, and he said, yeah, sure, do a speaker series here. That's what we wanted to do. And so we invited speakers. We had like our own little mini humanities festival. So Redline Service, as we grew and shifted from being comfort stations at the ends of the train, really tried to listen to what people wanted, and realized that real change requires people to run a community for and by themselves. And so our strategic goal is a sovereign community of artists who have a lived experience of houselessness, leading the organization. The way we get there, our method, is co-production. So people who have been historically disadvantaged definitely need supports in place, and people in the institutional world can provide those resources, networks, whatever we can provide, we provide. So for us, what that does is, I always try to say, there are beautiful things that we encounter and that people make. We made a 12-foot puppet that is just spectacularly beautiful. We've made, I always say we, but I didn't do any of the making, right? So from that to glass blowing, we make incredible objects, but those are the products. The actual art is the way we gather. The fact that across cultures, languages, because we also work with new arrivals, across class, we gather, and when we see one another's shared humanity, we frame that. At Redline Service, that we art home, right? Art is an active way of creating belonging.
El arte es una forma de crear pertenencia.
So these beautiful things that La Unión made in their class, the tables that you're eating at, these shelves,
where on these shelves we actually have some of the things we used in the class, the planters, the benches, and Abdiel's paintings. All of these are beautifully transformative objects, but they are the products. The real art is when we gather so beautifully together.
Redline Service has a mission, organizations have a mission, but we're not really mission driven. We're purpose driven. And what we mean by that is we want to see an end to houselessness. And we know the arts have a role to play in that. And I have a role to play in that as an individual, and you have a role, and the plumbers have a role, and the nurses have a role. Everyone has a role to play in ending houselessness. So one of our primary values as art makers is to partner. We partner broadly. This past year we partnered with 20 organizations to build the solidarities within the art world to create an ecosystem of people who care about this issue and care to end it or care to support the people who are going through it. We have 4 signature programs. One of them is the VIP field trip, where we go to various cultural institutions and we get a tour by the curator or the director. It's sort of the ideas of behind the scenes, look at the art world. We have a lunch and learn, which is a speaker series where renowned academics, sometimes artists, designers, architects come and speak to us. And those are free too, obviously they all are. We have our 3rd program, which is making art. That we have an ensemble, we've had a teen elder program in North Lawndale, we've had printmaking, all sorts of programs. And then our 4th is healing and healing-centered practices. And we very regularly do deep relaxation and sound baths. Every event or gathering that Redline Service does, every time we come together, it's free. Whether that's with a 12-foot puppet that needs an entourage and various people to animate it and a truck to bring it. It's an expensive thing, a 12-foot puppet. And a joy. Whether it's a speaker, whether it's deep relaxation and sound bath, all of these different programs of ours are free. We don't make a distinction at the door between whether you're houseless or whether you're housed. Everyone is welcome. So our ultimate goal is to see an end to houselessness. Within that, our goal is to create a sovereign community of artists with lived experience who can take this into the future. And so that's a very large strategic goal for us, is not only to place art within the wider world of wellness, but to raise the funds for restorative justice practices. How we come together with kindness, empathy, and understanding when we need to deal with conflict. That's what restorative justice gives us. It's impossible to say what I'm most proud of at Redline Service. Every time we gather and someone says, I'm sorry, I have to leave because so-and-so just lost their bag or their bag was stolen, I have to go help, is just a moment of beauty. Every time we gather and someone supports another person's art making and says, I'll grab you the cup of coffee, don't stop, is a recognition that this person's talent is so valuable, right? And that I have a role to play in it. I have a role to play in our success. Those are the moments, the exchanges that I'm most proud of, I would say.